How's it going, YouTube? Happy Saturday. Hope you're having a good one. This is probably a short video, but something I've been thinking about. Today, Brain Smasher shared with us, some friends, a channel he's been checking out, and it is by Davis Winchester, who has got about 300 subs. You guys, I'm going to put a link down in the description. You guys should go check him out. I've really been enjoying his insight, his perspective, um, and his thoughts on his collection, ranging from metal, screamo, emo, to hip hop and jazz and other experimental type music. Very diverse channel. But I was watching his an older video of his today, and he mentioned seeing a documentary called Vinyl, I think it was. I have not seen this documentary, but and made the comment, and apparently the filmmaker kind of centered on the darker side of vinyl collecting. And Davis mentioned, why don't more people talk about the dark side of collecting? And that got me thinking, because this is something that I'm 49 years old, and I'm getting older, and the further I'm moving along this journey, the dark side of collecting is something that it comes up in my mind once in a while. Think about it, and don't get me wrong. I mean, collecting music, there's a very satisfying. There's something satisfying about it. I mean, of course, at its heart, it's the music. That is, you're very passionate about music. You love music, and that should be the main focus for collecting. And music typically makes us happy. I mean, we tend to surround ourselves with the type of music that we like, whether it's to curate happiness or sadness, or whatever. But the longer you go and the more you do it, I think it changes a little bit, and that's where I think gets into the dark side. But if I would have sat down and made an outline for this video, it'd probably turn a lot better. But I just watched this video, and it was something I've been thinking about, and I just wanted to get it out right away. But wanted to just do a stream of conscious thing. So please excuse me if I'm going in circles here. But so let's talk about the dark side of collecting. Music is very addictive for people that connect with it on a deep level. It's a very passionate pursuit. The music does something, in your brain, triggers the same triggers, I think. This is probably stupid to say, but it's the same as like a drug addiction, and it's an addiction. And not only is it the addiction to hear more music, it is the hunter-gatherer side. The thrill of the hunt, the thrill of the chase. I guess the music hit me very profoundly when I was young, in my teens, and I remember getting money every day for lunch at school, and there'd be days that I wouldn't eat just so I had money to go to Camelot Music and buy tapes. And hopefully I saved up enough money to buy more tapes than my friend Scott, because it was a competition. But it was that satisfaction of coming up with new product, getting something that someone else didn't have, and keeping it for my own, and my own enjoyment, my own pleasure. The further on you go in life, the more you amass. Your collection gets bigger and bigger. And yeah, that feeling is still there. It might even grow a bit more, especially as you become, financially stable. You may have more disposable income to throw into collecting. But this is where it starts to turn, just for the fact that, let's be honest, if you're a collector, if you're an avid music pursuist, if that's even a word, everybody's got in their collection a massive stack of shit that they have purchased and have not listened to. My vinyl is probably this big of records that I had to buy. I had to have them. And some of which I've listened to maybe once, some of which I haven't listened to yet, and some of which I've had for a couple years. I was just going through this stack the other day and was utterly shocked at some of the shit, how long I've had it and haven't listened to it yet. So at what point does it become less about enjoying music and more about the collector, the addicted collector mentality? Why would you sacrifice the needs of your family to buy records that you aren't going to listen to? The darker side, perhaps. And it goes from there. I mean, I've come through times in my life where money's been tough, and you just kind of shouldn't be buying records or tapes or CDs, and you still, I would find myself on eBay on the toilet or at night before bed going through trying to find something and buying an actual CD copy of something I had a promo sleeve of, just because it had to be on that shelf. Again, it might be something I'm familiar with. It might be just the fact that I wanted the artwork and see that spine on my tape shelf. The addiction side of it. And if you can't afford it, it's a bad thing. I mean, that could be, the dark side of collecting. You're feeding your beast, essentially, which is to have more and have more and have more. There's a bunch of points I want to talk about, but I've lost some of them by the time I got down here to do this. Another thing, and this is something you think about more and more the older you get. You've spent your entire life amassing a collection. We're not going to live forever. Newsflash, we're not going to live forever. And have you ever sat there and wondered, what's going to happen to my collection when I'm dead and gone? Well, when you're dead and gone, you resolve this in your own mind. When I'm dead and gone, I'm not going to give a shit. Whatever. But yeah, there's an element of that, but there's also an element of, my wife and my child are now suddenly going to be burdened with the problem of having to manage. I mean, you look at, there's other guys in the VC that have got a humongous collection, and mine's a respectable collection. But all of a sudden, not only is your family having to deal with the grief of you passing, but they also have to deal with your shit. And I have, over the years, told my wife and my child, I said, don't just haul my shit off to Goodwill, because there's some records and there's some CDs in this collection that are worth some money. So here you have burdened your family with the responsibility of honoring your wishes and having to sell shit individually that could be worth some money. And we all know that collectibles are only worth as much as someone is willing to pay for them. I used to justify, I had a stint where I was a comic collector. And I had to get out of it. It was either going to be music or comics, because we bought a new house, and I couldn't afford collecting comics and collecting records. So of course comics had to go. But the prices kept going up and up and up and up in comics, and the comics kept getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And I always told myself, well, someday these are going to be worth something, which we all know that in the comic world, that's a fucking lie. It's bullshit. The only comics that are worth anything are the golden age of comics in pristine mint condition, and the only people that are buying them are super rich fuckers. So I got 4 or 5 long boxes full of comics that aren't worth shit, essentially. And, someday hopefully my kid will enjoy them. Of course, he's 10 now and has shown no interest in them. So why do I have them? The records, it's different because the music itself means something to me, and I have greatly enjoyed, the thrill of the chase. I've enjoyed connecting with a lot of this music, and In a lot of ways, it has navigated my life into a lot of positive things, which we're talking about the dark side. So I shouldn't get into the positives because, I mean, there is a community surrounding metal and collecting records. Yeah, there's, for its good and bad, it's mostly good. And I have met some lifelong friends through this music. But we're talking about the dark side here. And death is a dark side, you know, and burdening your family with a massive collection is something to be considered, unless you just don't give a fuck or you don't maybe have a family. You know, I've thought about having all my friends come in and pick what they wanted, but then, you know, that I'm not going to have a retirement. I'm going to die penniless. And if they're going to try to get some money out of my records, I can't just have my friends come and pick and take what they want. And I can't burden my friends with helping my wife and son manage this collection and sell it. All around, it's a burden. So if you know you're dying, what do? Do you try to sell your records yourself? I mean, these are things you think about the older you get. And I try to put myself in that position when I get older and I'm feeling sick or whatever. How hard will it be to let go of a lifetime of collecting? You know, not all of these records I have a connection with, believe me. There's a lot of garbage in my collection, as everybody's collection. When you're a collector, you tend to keep things, whether it's good or bad. I might come back to this, or, oh, this isn't as good as their first album, or, you know, it ends up being a placeholder sucked into the endless void. But how do you say goodbye to a lifelong collection? And is that the responsible thing to do? Probably yes. But when do you pull the trigger on that? I don't know the answer to that, because I still enjoy music. I still enjoy collecting music. And I'm come from an era where listening to things on this just isn't the same. But I do it. You know, obviously I listen to music on Spotify and, you know, whatever. But Davis has given me, you know, he has stirred the pot in my brain, essentially. I mean, things that I've thought about before. Ask yourself, am I buying this record because I really want to hear it? Or am I buying this record because I simply just want to have it on my shelf? I think we all catch ourselves doing that on occasion. But again, I think I'm going in circles. Sorry. But, you know, I could probably part with a good chunk of my collection because, let's be honest, I think the music that has the most impact on us is the music that we kind of started off with and really connected with early on. You know, a lot of that early metal stuff, which I've talked about numerous times on this channel, whether it's, you know, favorite black metal or favorite death metal, or, you know, thrash albums that had an impact on my life, you know, all that kind of stuff. That is part of the DNA. You know, it's part of what molded us as a music connoisseur as we moved through the rest of our lives. But the rest of it's just kind of residual damage, maybe. I mean, there's still some great shit, but the more you collect, the less you have time to bond with your records. And I think that is something that you can all admit to yourselves is true. I mean, how many records have you bought the past month? How many of them have you listened to more than 3 times? And once those records are filed into your collection, how many more times are you going to grab for that CD? You know, these are all things you have to ask yourself and think about. You know, most of the time I don't think about this shit, and I just want to enjoy myself because, you know, I'm not a go out kind of guy. I'm not a go out and fancy restaurants or big lavish trips. But I do enjoy doing this stuff, and for now that's good enough. But you have to pay the piper at some point. Where is it going to go? What sort of impact is this all going to have on your family and your finances and yourself? But I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there. I just wanted to thank Davis Winchester for giving me this little something to think about, and I'm curious what you have to say. Other YouTubers out there. Let's talk about the dark side of collecting. And is this something you think about? Is it something that do you have an exit strategy? Do you have any guilt for your collection? Do you I don't know. I'm curious. Again, I don't mean to sound all doom and gloom here because, I love music and I'm going to collect music as long as I can and as long as it makes sense. And I'm just wondering how, all you other folks process it, especially you younger guys. We're just getting into this, we're like fucking sponges wanting to hear all this shit that has been around and out. I mean, do you have to have it or do you just need to hear it? Anyway, check out Davis Winchester. I will leave a link below in my description. And thank you all for watching and your thoughts. And let's chat. Let's see what you got. See ya.